This is your Bible video for May 5th, Tuesday. And today I'm going to be continuing our story about Kalani and Tiki, I think is his name. And I'm going to be reading this story and then I'll give you the journal page for questions. Okay? Island Fire. "Where's Dad?" Kalani asked as she sat down for her favorite Saturday breakfast of pancakes. "He's already up at the field," her mom said. "He thinks the corn is just about ready to harvest, perhaps as soon as next week." As Kalani poured warm coconut syrup over her pancakes, her dad bounded up the front steps. "It's beautiful," he beamed. "Next Saturday for sure. I saw Mr. Nalatu, and he said his crop would be ready to pick by then, too." Kalani smiled, swallowed her first delicious bite, and said, "I can't wait. Maybe we can even have corn on the cob for supper after harvest." "Maybe," replied her mom. "No maybe about it. I've already planned the meal. Pulled pork, fresh greens, sweet potatoes, and corn on the cob. And for dessert, sweet rice pudding. Now finish your breakfast, Kalani. Today's market day in the village, and I need you to carry one of the baskets." Kalani loved market day. It seemed as if everyone on the island was there. She especially loved sampling the vendors' fresh tropical fruits. "Here, Kalani," said Mr. Amatani, handing her a slice of juicy pineapple as she and her mother approached his fruit stand. "And how are you both today?" "Thank you," Kalani said. "I'm really excited. My dad thinks the sweet corn will be ready to harvest by next Saturday." "Everyone's excited," he said. "We've never grown corn on this island, and from what I hear, we're going to have a bumper crop. It's our island gold. You know." "I'll take 2 pineapples," said Mrs. Ty, "and by market day next week, I hope to bring a dozen ears of corn for you and your family. Mr. Amatani, have a good day." As Kalani followed her mom through the crowded market, she felt a tug on her basket from behind. She turned around quickly and saw Tiki smiling mischievously. "Hi, Kalani," he said. "Do you want to come with my family to a beach picnic this afternoon when you're finished shopping?" "Oh, Tiki," laughed Kalani, "I thought someone was trying to steal one of our pineapples. Yes, I'd love to go to the beach if it's okay with my mom." "You may go," said Mrs. Ty, who had overheard the conversation. "Just remember to play safely and don't go too far out into the water." "My dad will make sure of that," Tiki said, "and besides, he's a good swimmer if anything should happen. Hey, I need to go. My mom will be looking for me. See you this afternoon." "Let's pick up some chocolate chip macadamia nuts from Auntie Ruth's bakery for you to take to the picnic," said Mrs. Ty. "Oh, Mom," Kalani said, "you always think of everything." After helping put away the groceries, Kalani changed into her swimsuit and packed her beach bag with towel and the cookies. "I'll be back before dark. Tiki's dad will walk me home," she called as she headed out the door. "Have a good time, Kalani," her mom said, "and thanks for helping me with the shopping." The weather was picnic perfect. A warm tropical sun and gentle island breeze both warmed and cooled the beautiful beach, while Tiki's mom spread a blanket under the shade of 2 palm trees and began to unpack the picnic basket. Kalani and Tiki built sandcastles on the beach. "I wish our castles would last forever," said Kalani, as she built a sand wall to protect the fragile structures from the waves. "But the high tide will wash them away by morning." "Me too," said Tiki wishfully. "But we can always build another and another and another anytime we want to." "Time to eat," said Mr. Nalatu as he came in from a swim. "I'll race you. First one to the palm trees gets an extra cookie for dessert." "No fair, Dad," Tiki called as the 3 made a dash up the beach towards the picnic blanket. "We can run faster than you." "Of course you can," Mr. Nalatu laughed as he slowed his pace to allow Tiki and Kalani to pass him. Kalani and Tiki dashed up the beach and reached the palm trees at the same time. Mr. Nalatu, pretending to be out of breath, arrived 5 steps behind them. "You just let us win," Tiki laughed. "You think so?" his dad replied, trying not to smile. "Now why would I do that?" Mr. Nalatu unpacked the picnic basket and set out a feast of crispy, sweet, and spicy fried chicken, potato salad, sticky rice, and fresh pineapple, papaya, and mango. "It's so beautiful here," said Kalani, taking a sip of cold fruit punch. "This has to be the most beautiful and peaceful place in all of God's creation." Mrs. Nalatu smiled. "Yes, we know the legend of the great creator who many, many years ago made everything. He's the highest of many gods, but sadly he no longer cares about what he made. He never speaks to us because he is angry with us. He's angry because of all the bad things people do." Kalani sat quietly, trying to understand what Tiki's mom was saying. "Of course, there are gods who do listen to us," Mr. Nalatu said. "These are the gods we pray to and try to make happy. You know, like the rain god, Kumu. He must be happy with us because he has sent good summer rains to make the corn grow." "Oh my," Kalani thought to herself. "What should I say?" Suddenly, everyone's attention shifted to something very different than corn crops and rain gods. Without warning, a strange rumbling noise raced down the slope of the mountain towards the beach. Mr. Nalatu stood up and turned towards the mountain. The beach rose like a sandy wave and began to shudder. Mr. Nalatu lost his balance and fell back on the sand. Then just as suddenly, all was quiet and calm. "Dad!" screamed Tiki. "I'm okay," he said. "Everything's fine." "I'm scared," Tiki said. "The last time we felt an earthquake like that, everyone thought the volcano would erupt." "It hasn't erupted for many years," said Mr. Nalatu, trying to keep everyone calm. "I just hope Lomoko is not angry with us for some reason. If he is, there won't be anything we can do to stop him from erupting." "Lomoko?" asked Kalani in a frightened voice. "Who's that?" "Why, he's the god of the volcano," answered Mrs. Nalatu, surprised that Kalani did not know this. "If he's not happy, he can punish us with great destruction. The dry lava flows around this island remind us always of what he is capable of. My grandmother told me stories about how the last eruption covered part of her village when she was a very young girl." "Okay, that's enough talk about the volcano," cautioned Mr. Nalatu. "It's getting late. We need to pack up and get home. I'm sure this little quake we felt today will be the last." As they were packing up the picnic things, Mr. Tai came running down the beach. "Is everyone okay?" he asked anxiously. "We're all fine," replied Mr. Nalatu. "A little frightened, but we're okay. I guess no one will sleep well tonight, just wondering what will happen." "God will protect us," said Mr. Tai with an assuring smile. "He is our creator and protector. Thank you for inviting Kalani to the picnic. I'm sure she had a wonderful time." "Goodbye," said Kalani, "and thank you. I did have a good time. Well, mostly." That night, everyone on the island slept lightly, if at all, as small tremors continued to ripple across the island. Unable to sleep, Kalani left her room and climbed into bed with her mom and dad. Mr. Tai said a prayer, hugged Kalani and her mom, and all three fell into a light sleep. Before the sun rose, Mr. Tai slipped quietly out of bed so as not to awaken Kalani. He whispered to his wife, "I'm going to the village to see if there is any news about the volcano. While I'm gone, pack up a few clothes, our important papers, and our photo albums. I don't know anything that will happen, but just in case the old volcano does erupt, we need to be ready to leave and evacuate." The marketplace was already filled with anxious villagers by the time Mr. Tai arrived. Everyone was pacing and talking nervously. As the sun began to rise over the horizon, it cast an eerie pink glow on the towering volcano. In those first rays of light, everyone saw what they had hoped they would not see: clouds of steam belching from the top of the mountain. "She's going to erupt for sure," said one old man nervously. "The last time I saw steam like that was when I was a boy, and it wasn't long before Lomoko let his anger be known. And did he blow!" But we also know how this mountain erupts," said Mr. Tai a bit more optimistically. "It doesn't just spew fire and ash everywhere. Usually it just sends slow rivers of lava down the sides, like rivers of syrup. We'll have plenty of time to get out of the way once we know which way the lava is going to flow." As the villagers continued to guess whether the volcano would erupt or not, Mr. Tai headed back up the path that led away from the village towards his house. As he came to the edge of the village, he met Mr. Nalatu. "Good morning, Mr. Nalatu," he said. "Why don't you pack up what you need and bring your family up to our house? That way you will be away from the beach in case there are more earthquakes or a tsunami." "Thank you, my friend," replied Mr. Nalatu. "Tiki and his mom are quite worried, to be honest. I am, too." "That's what neighbors are for," said Mr. Tai, "and on this island everyone's a neighbor." By mid-morning, the Nalatu family had packed their truck, and they started up the road to the Tai house. A violent explosion shook the island. "Dad!" Tiki screamed. "The volcano!" "Hang on!" His dad hit the gas and sped up the road towards safety. When they arrived, a group of neighbors was standing outside looking up towards the steaming mountain where red ribbons of lava were flowing down its flank. "Is everyone okay?" asked Mr. Tai, holding Kalani's hand as he greeted the Nalatu family. "So far," said Tiki's dad. "Now that he's blown his top, maybe Olamoko will just let the lava flow with more earthquakes or without any more earthquakes or explosions." "I think you're right," said Mr. Tai. "Now come on inside. There's nothing we can do until later. After breakfast, we'll go up to the cornfields and see if we can tell which way the lava is flowing. You never know the direction it will take. Hopefully it will miss the fields in our village and just flow into the ocean." As the two families sat around the big kitchen table, Kalani's mom served mango, tea, and banana bread. "Thank you for your hospitality," said Mrs. Nalatu. "We're most grateful." "And you're most welcome," replied Mrs. Ty. "We're just glad that you're safe and here with us." "Dad," said Tiki with a worried look on his face, "do you think Lomoko is really angry with us? What do you think we've done wrong? Why would he want to punish us?" "He must be angry," Mr. Nalatu said. "Maybe someone did something wrong that we don't know about. Maybe someone didn't bring him a gift, or the right gift. There could be any number of reasons why he's angry." "Bring the right gift?" asked Kalani, who rarely hesitated before asking a question. "Why, yes, Mr. Nalatu. People take gifts up to the volcano to keep Lomoko happy and peaceful. Don't you? Last year we took flowers way up on the slopes and left them there." Before Kalani could answer, Mr. Ty wisely interrupted. "May I tell you why we don't take gifts to Lomoko?" "Yes, please do," said Mr. Nalatu with a questioning look. "Maybe that's why he's so angry." Mr. Ty smiled, reached for his Bible, and opened it to the book of Genesis. The Bible tells us that there is only one true and living God. He is God our Father, who created everything, including this beautiful island. Then he began to read the creation story. When Kalani's dad finished reading, Mr. Nalatu said, "That's what we believe too. We believe in the Creator who made everything. But our ancestors have told us that one day something made him angry, and now he won't have anything to do with us or the world he made." "Let me explain further," said Mr. Ty. "When God created the first man Adam and the first woman Eve, he made them in his image. This means he created them with a mind so they could know him, and a heart so they could love him. But he didn't create them to be like puppets. He created them with a will so they could choose either to obey him or not obey him. Only by choosing to obey God could they really show him that they loved. Sadly, Adam and Eve chose to disobey God." "What did they do?" asked Tiki, who wanted to know more about this father he had heard Kalani speak about. "They ate fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God had told them they could eat fruit from any tree in the garden except this one. God told them that they would surely die if they ate from this tree. So maybe that's why the great Creator is angry with us and won't have anything to do with us," Mrs. Nalatu said. "Well, yes and no," replied Mr. Ty. "Yes, God was not pleased when Adam and Eve disobeyed. God is angered by disobedience, and our disobedience keeps us separated from him. But that doesn't mean he has left us alone, or that he doesn't care about us. In fact, he still loves us very much, and he hasn't abandoned us." Mr. Nalatu asked, "So if God has forgotten the world he made, and if he is the creator, why does he allow gods like Lomoko of the volcano to get so angry and punish us? Have some more tea," said Mrs. Ty as she filled each glass, "and do have some more banana bread." "Thanks," said Tiki. "I love your banana bread." When Mr. Ty continued, "After Adam and Eve disobeyed, God reminded them of their punishment. One day they would die. They could not live forever in the beautiful world God had created. And not only would they die, the earth would also be cursed. This meant that the earth that God created to be their perfect home would no longer be perfect. Instead, Adam and Eve would have to work very hard to make the earth produce food God would provide for them." "Is that why we have earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, and volcanoes?" "That's right, Tiki. But that doesn't mean God is not still in control of his creation, or that he doesn't care. Because God loves us, he still sends the seasons and the rains and provides everything we need for life. He is still a loving and good father who cares very much for his creation." "But what about Lomoko, the god of the volcano?" asked Mr. Nalatu. "He doesn't seem to care about us. He's very angry with us right now." "God tells us in the Bible that there are no other gods," answered Mr. Ty politely. "The gods people worship are only the creations of men. God is the only God, and he is still in control of the earth, even the less than perfect earth." "Well, even if there were no other gods, then the Creator God must still be angry with us about something, or he wouldn't let that volcano erupt," Mr. Nalatu said. "I've only told you part of the story," replied Mr. Ty. "Yes, people disobeyed, and yes, God punished them for the disobedience. But God is also a God of great love and mercy. The imperfect world we live in now, where there is death and decay, is not the end of the story. In fact, there is a very happy ending to this story. A very happy ending. I wish I could believe that what you're saying," Mrs. Nalatu said hopefully, "but I can't imagine a really happy ending to the story. I think the best we can do is just keep trying to please the gods, or at least that great Creator. Then maybe he will be good to us and not cause the volcano to erupt." "It might seem that way," Mr. Ty said, "but there is really nothing we can do to make God happy. The happy ending to the story has everything to do with something God did for us." What is that? Asked Tiki, who had been listening very carefully to every word. Well, after Adam and Eve disobeyed God, God told them about his plan to bring harmony back to his creation. He told them about a plan that would restore the relationship between people and himself. This plan would also restore harmony within each person's heart, between people, and between people and earth. What was the plan? Tiki asked, anxious to know the rest of the story. Suddenly, a loud knock on the screen door interrupted the breakfast discussion. "Mr. Tai, come quickly," shouted one of the next-door neighbors. "The lava is no longer flowing towards the village. Some of it has already started flowing into the ocean near Coral Point. You can see the steam from here." "That is good news," Mr. Tai said with a sigh of relief as everyone hurried out to the porch. "It is good news for the village, but not for some of the cornfields," his neighbor said. "Another large flow is located directly above some of the large fields on the upper slopes. I think your field is in danger." Mr. Tai turned to Mr. Nalatu. "Come with me, my friend. We need to drive up to our fields and see what is happening." "May I go with you?" asked Tiki. "No, son," his dad said. "An area of flowing lava is no place for kids. You stay here with the others and say your prayers to Lomoko. Are you wearing your lucky necklace?" Tiki didn't answer his dad as he turned and walked into the house with the others. He did not want to believe in Lomoko or lucky necklaces. He wanted to believe in the God Kalani's dad was reading about in the Bible. He wanted to believe in a God who loved his creation and had a plan for restoring it to its peaceful beauty. Maybe this God would protect their cornfields. "It doesn't sound good," said Mr. Nalatu fearfully as the two men drove up the mountain road towards their fields. "No, it doesn't," replied Mr. Tai. "But God will protect us and provide for what we need. We'll drive to your field first since it's higher up on the slope. Then we'll check on mine on the way back." As they approached the upper end of Mr. Nalatu's field, they saw a massive wall of molten lava creeping slowly across the road. Everything the lava touched ignited quickly and burst into flames. "It's just a matter of time," said Mr. Nalatu hopelessly. "My field doesn't stand a chance against such a wall of fire." As the two men stood watching at a safe distance, the molten red lava oozed slowly across the road and silently into the first rows of corn. The green stalks crumbled one by one as the wall of fire engulfed them. There was nothing they could do but watch. "It will soon flow into my field as well," sighed Mr. Tai. "There's no need to stay here now. Let's go home and tell the others. We can come back in the morning and see how much, if any, of the fields are left." As the two men headed silently down the road back to the house, Mr. Nalatu broke the silence. "Before we left to check on the fields, you had said there was a happy ending to the story you were telling us. You said something about a plan the Creator had for restoring his creation. Is that true? Happy endings are hard to believe when we see our fields being destroyed by a volcano." "It is true, my friend," Mr. Tai said reassuringly. "When we get back to the house, I'll tell you the rest of the story. I'm sure Tiki and your wife are anxious to hear it as well." And that is the end of the story. Please turn to Journal, page 180, and answer the questions about our story today.